Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here, May 11th, 2017. Today happens to be the anniversary of the passing of Bob Marley. If I get time, I'll put out a quick video in tribute to Bob Marley's passing. In the news, there's two things I really want to talk about this morning. If you missed my recent work on the firing of James Comey on his 147th day of being age 56, I'm going to link that video down in the description, as well as my call to the FBI informing them about 147. In a moment, we're going to talk about Henry Kissinger, the military tyrant with a lot of blood on his hands, who's born on the 147th day of the year, coming to meet with Trump to talk about the Comey firing. Just wait. We're going to get to Henry Kissinger. He's about to turn 94. If you watched my video on Comey, we talked about 94 and 147. This news of Kissinger backs up something I've been speaking about for years. So we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about the parallels between Donald Trump firing Comey on May 9th, the 43-year anniversary of the impeachment hearings beginning for Richard Nixon. Earlier this year, I talked about 43, Donald Trump, the wiretapping accusations against Obama, and how that was a tribute to Richard Nixon. And the language of gematria, Richard sums to 43 on the 43-year anniversary of the beginning of the impeachment hearings for Richard Nixon, May 9th, the firing of Comey. And in that video I put out, I talked about the parallels loosely between Comey's firing and Richard Nixon. It gets a lot deeper. Last night, in the headlines, a senator named Richard used the I word, impeachment, saying this could lead to the impeachment of Trump. And remember, impeachment doesn't mean that the president's going to be out for sure, but we've seen this coming. The Donald Trump administration is meant to be a distraction for the American people, a confusing process, what the presidency always is, you know? People always fall for this game and they continually evolve it to keep people's attention, to keep the tricks on going. So we're going to get to that, and we're even going to talk about Theresa May announcing she wants to bring back fox hunting, something that reportedly 84% of the UK are opposed to. We're going to get to that. 84, that special number connecting the United States and the United Kingdom. But let's start here with Henry Kissinger. We'll just read a little bit of CNN's reporting. And then Henry Kissinger walks in. I mean, what kind of headline is that? We're living out theater by the numbers. And Henry Kissinger has been a shining example his entire political career, which stretches back decades. Henry Kissinger, he's been in D.C. a long time. He's 93 years old. He'll turn 94 May 27th. 17 days after this meeting, which happened yesterday, May 10th. Remember, FBI equals 17. They're meeting about the FBI. We'll get to it. Donald Trump promised a White House like no other when he pulled the biggest upset in presidential history to become the 44th man to hold the job. You guys, I follow so much of the news. This is the first time I've seen the mainstream media acknowledge that Trump's the 44th person to be president. He's number 45, but because Grover Cleveland had a split term, Trump's the 44th person. So, it's so interesting that they mentioned that he's the 44th in light of a meeting with Kissinger, because Kissinger is known for corrupt military actions and killing. And we know that 44 is the military kill number. In case you're new here, let's just dive into 44 in regards to the military and killing. English ordinal is the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, K is 11, I is 9, L is 12, L is 12. Put it together, kill 44. If you write out military, it also sums to 44. Look up NATO. It was established on 4-4, April 4th. The word soldier has gematria of 44. Infantry, 44. So, we just did soldier. Trooper, 44. Officer, 44. Sheriff, 44. Major overlap between police and military, especially in symbolism. 44, a number that has a lot to do with killing. The word shooting, 44, execution, 44, genocide, 44, and more. 44. So they mention in this meeting with Kissinger, the military killing machine of a man, that Trump's the 44th man to hold the job. You can go through my blog. I have a lot of mainstream articles on this blog, and you can see, where have they ever referred to Trump as the 44th man before? I talk about it all the time. And the reason I talk about it is because Trump and Obama are part of an ongoing narrative, a script, planned theater performance. Remember at the 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner, Trump was there and Obama joked about how Trump would be the next president, and they showed the White House lit up like a casino, how ridiculous it would be. Trump and Obama connected through the birther argument. Birther 44, Obama number 44, Trump really the 44th person to be president. There were 44 kings of ancient Israel, which Freemasonry is based in. Trump, the winner of the 58th presidential election, he announced he was running for president from the 58-story Trump Tower. He hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for the 58th presidential inauguration. Freemasonry is all for men. This article emphasizes he was the 44th man, like the 44 kings of Israel. And again, the United States of America is New Jerusalem. Henry Kissinger, Jewish. Henry Kissinger, another man with fingerprints all over September 11th. And real quick on that point about 58, let's expand real quick. Let's expand. Let's prove what I'm saying beyond a shadow of a doubt. In Jewish gematria, Tisha B'Av sums to 911. So does the word division, but we want Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is the day of remembrance for the destruction of the two Jewish temples, Solomon's temple and then Herod's temple, which was built in its place. Check this out. Solomon's temple is what Freemasonry is based in. So much of their history, it's the reason for the checkerboard floors. Solomon's temple had checkerboard floors, supposedly built by the finest craftsman, Hiram Abiff. But check this out. Solomon's temple, 58. Just like Freemasonry, just like secret society, just like so many things. Major merger between the Rosicrucians and Freemasonry. Rosicrucian 58, which means Rose Cross, 58. Check out the gematria of Herod's temple, 58. Check out the gematria of George W. Bush, who was president when 9/11 happened. George W. Bush, 58, a Freemason, member of Skull and Bones at Yale, the Masonic Order. I want to come back to Solomon's temple, which is the most important of the two temples. Solomon's temple, Herod's temple, both 58, like Freemasonry, like secret society. Oh, by the way, craftsmen, the term for Masons, 58. The word craft alone, 33, that number of Masonic obsession. Masonry, 33. Secrecy, 33. Let me bring it back to Solomon's temple. Spelled correctly. Notice also the gematria of 68. Again, in 1968, 33 years before 2001. 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began in New York. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. Bush's birthday is July 6th. From July 6th to September 11th is a full span of 68 days. CIA equals 68. Bush's father, the former president, also a Skull and Bones member, head of the CIA before becoming vice president and president. So 68, big year. Assassination of RFK by the numbers, Martin Luther King Jr. by the numbers. You see the Solomon's Temple 193? 193 is also the 44th prime. And here's something to think about. The World Trade Centers were opened on April 4th, the same day NATO was established, 4/4. Those buildings, when they came down, our nation declared war. They were used for military strategy, and that was always their purpose, because we're living out a planned agenda that men such as Henry Kissinger have possibly helped plan or all along have played their part in the show. Henry Kissinger, for people who've been around, they know the name across the world. And a lot of people look at this man as the biggest killer on the planet. Meanwhile, over in the UK, they're talking about bringing back fox hunting, killing. And we're going to see how these things are interconnected. This is all New World Order ritual. The UK, the United States of America, the European Union, none of us are living in sovereign nations. We're all living under the New World Order. And that New World Order extends beyond the Americas and Europe. It is the New World Order. It's across the globe. What's going on by the numbers. But we're focusing on this for now. So we established 44. I want to point out the word soldier also has gematria of 82 like Henry Kissinger. This is their big killer. In the news, they talk about the parallel, besides Kissinger meeting, they talk about the parallels between what's going on with Trump and Nixon. They talk about how there's this man that there's possible corruption with in Russia also being in the White House at the same time. I mean, this whole thing is a show just to make people go, what in the F is going on? They even got a picture of Vladimir Putin in a hockey jersey. And I'm telling you, this stuff's not coincidence. I don't know the NHL well enough, but I bet you whoever the biggest Russian star is in the NHL, we're going to see him in the Stanley Cup. Russia 87 National Hockey League. Remember, 87's coated all over their star player, Sidney Crosby, the face of the NHL, or one of. He's born on August 7th. He wears 87. National Hockey League 87 like Russia. Anyway, these are side topics. But all of this stuff is crammed in this article, and it's all ritual. Everything they're cramming in there are all rituals to play with people's heads. All the things that distract us. Politics, sports. So check this out. Henry Kissinger, born May 27th, 1923, currently 93 years old. That special number, that number that represents time, Saturn equals 93. They say Saturn is the keeper of time to the occult. They tell us the sun, the true keeper of time, is 93 million miles away. Some people wonder if Jesus is a metaphor for the sun. God's son equals 93, crucifix 93, Nazareth 93. In Mark, it says Jesus was crucified between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Science in 2012 released an article saying they figured out the date Jesus Christ was actually crucified, and it was April 3rd on our current calendar year. April 3rd's the 93rd day of the year. So anyway, Henry Kissinger's 93, born in Germany, Bavarian Illuminati, Germany, at the heart of all of this. And I don't know what it is about Germany, but the German people the smartest people I know in this world are German. Something's going on in Germany. They got something in the water, There's ancient practices, hermeticism, about how to, mix potions and elevate yourself. I don't know if they figured out something in Germany once upon a time, and those people have benefited ever since. But the most brilliant people I've ever met have truly come out of Germany. And that's not to put anyone else down. I mean, there's brilliant people all over, but something going on in Germany. So anyway, Henry Kissinger, he met with Trump on May 10th, the day after the Comey firing. Supposedly surprise news. This was 17 days before his upcoming 94th birthday. FBI 17. Now look, here's May 27th, the 147th day of the year. I literally called the FBI, you can watch the video, to call out their 147 ritual. And this was before the news of Henry Kissinger being there. I might even have to call the FBI back today. I got to finish my book, but I need to be connected to someone at the FBI. I'm trying to get past these secretaries and talk to somebody there. Somebody's got to know what's going on. May 27th, the 147th day of the year, the birthday of Kissinger. Again, Freemason 147, Conspiracy 147, Kabbalah 147 in Washington, D.C. Let's just do this the right way. Let's type this up here. Let's pay attention. I'm going to get rid of the Jewish real quick. Pay attention to the English ordinal. Washington, D.C. sums to 137. Also 56. James Comey 56, special number at the time of his firing. Real quick with the 187, I just always got to point this out in case you're new here. George Washington, which the city's named after, also 187. Trump's GOP convention began July 18th, 187 days before Inauguration Day in D.C. Anyway, Washington, D.C., 137, the 33rd prime, the number very special to Freemasonry, the headquarters of the federal government, 33. Again, Masonry, 33, secrecy, 33. The headquarters of the U.S. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is in D.C., has 33 pillars on the outside. Masonry 33, Federal 33, a city named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, George Washington. Albert Pike. Albert Pike has a statue in the White House 13 blocks from the White House. He was the Confederate war general, the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason who wrote Morals and Dogma. His statue's 13 blocks from the White House. Notice Albert Pike using the alphabetic orders 99 and reduction 45. If you write out 13, same numbers, 45, 99. If you write out Pike, it's also 41, which is the 13th prime. This man has a statue, again, the only Confederate war general, 13 blocks from the White House, and under his arm is Morals and Dogma, what he wrote, which is considered the most important Freemason text. In Morals and Dogma, he writes clearly that Freemasonry owes all of its secrets and symbolism to Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism. But when it's practiced outside of the Jewish faith, it's called Kabbalah with the Q. In the Jewish faith, it's with the K. Outside of the Jewish faith, it's with the Q. And notice, Kabbalah is 147. And the belief of Kabbalah is that the world was created by God with language when he merged the letter with the number, the spoken word with mathematics. And you go back and you study Hermeticism and ancient philosophy, you see there's a lot of this. So this is old world knowledge that's being used on the daily. And so many people, when they're confronted with the knowledge, they go, man, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. Nobody would do that. Wrong. That's just such a dumb attitude. Just because something seems stupid to you because you don't understand it or it just seems ridiculous on the surface, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you don't care about it. The point is people in high places do, and they're living by this code, and they're scripting our reality by this code. They're contriving news from tearing down towers in Manhattan to, firing the FBI director and then having a man in the White House who's part of a scandal that was being investigated. It's just such a show. It's such a show. And just think about who they have doing it. Donald Trump, the guy who owns the casinos in New Jersey where the mob used to be. It's just all a giant mocking. So anyway, from James Comey's birthday, his 56th, our Washington, D.C. number, to the firing, 147 days by the President of the United States, 147, U.S. President, 147, $1 equals 147. George Washington on the $1 bill, the Freemason. How many windows are at the White House built in Washington's honor? 147. I called the FBI and I was dropping this knowledge yesterday, even before Henry Kissinger, and they hung up on me. I don't want to be ruled over by a government where the people are so stupid they can't see the obvious. You know what I mean? This is why we're not to be ruled over. We're to be good people, not ruled over. So many people in America want to be ruled over. They want to cheer for this tyranny. Say, oh, why would our government ever knock down buildings? I mean, how do you even need to ask that question this day and age? What have they done? Gone to war, made a lot of money off it, built a police state, taken resources from the people and moved them to the richest? You got George W. Bush in the White House giving speeches about how his base are the wealthiest and laughing about everybody else. Now the poor people invested in Donald Trump, the liar, the groper. So hold on, we got one more 147. Henry Kissinger, this happened 17 days before his 94th birthday. I just talked about the significance of 94 and 147. When you write out 94, it sums to 147. Again, last year, you can go back and watch my video on the Cubs' 94th win. When the Cubs got their 94th win, it was 47 days from what would be Game 7 of the World Series. And number 47 had the winning hit, Miguel Montero. And I said, this is a sign. The Cubs will win the 112th World Series in Game 7 on November 2nd, which is when it was scheduled for. And that's exactly what happened. It was the 94th win that tipped off the World Series 147. You know, I was already saying that before it happened because I saw it was scheduled for November 2nd, but when I saw the way they won their 94th, 47 days with number 47 getting the winning hit, you know, this is the world we live in. Your sports are scripted, your elections are scripted, Freemasonry is running it. Freemasonry, what they've done at the highest degrees is they've taken all the important occult and esoteric knowledge, which was meant for good, and they've used it for an agenda of domination and control of the people. They got the men hypnotized with the sports. They got the women hypnotized with the consumerism, the tabloidism. And they got us all, you know, living out their scheme. So let's do a few more of these. The White House has 147 windows. It also has 132 rooms. And just wait until we get to fox hunting in England. 132, not arbitrary. The name Kissinger, 132. United States of America, 132. Catholic Church, 132. England, 132. We'll talk about it. Kissinger also has the number of the beast coded into his name, 666. If you missed my recent video on NASA and their mission having an astronaut in space for 666 days, NASA's full name in gematria sums to 666. Outer space equals 147. Spaceship 47. Everything about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is coded out in 42 and 147. This is all Freemason conspiracy. And think about how the president's the one who dreamed up the mission for space and moon travel, which has all been by the numbers and tributes to Scottish Rite Freemasonry. But anyway, special numbers here. You know what? Here is wisdom, truth seeker. Do you know the verse? I better put this up because I know a lot of you don't know the verse. It's Revelation 13:18, and let's just bring it back to 147 one more time. Revelation, no. We need the King James translation, though. King James was a Rosicrucian who influenced Freemasonry. King James, around the time England was colonizing the Americas. King James Bible. Here is wisdom. Remember those three words. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Here is wisdom. Boom. 147. It's not hard to see who signed out all over the Bibles. You know, the original printed Bibles were called 42-line Bibles. And the Christian part of the Bible begins with the New Testament, 42, just like Freemason, like 42-line Bibles, 42 generations to Jesus. And then there's the whole 42 Jesus thing. 42, when you write out sums to 74, like Jesus, like cross, like Messiah, like gospel, the beginning of the New Testament 42. The word Savior, 42. Revelation, where it teaches about 666, is about the destruction of the world before the return of Jesus. Now, check this out. Number of the beast has gematria of 66. Revelation is the 66th book of the Bible. The beginning of that verse, here is wisdom, which equaled 147. It also equaled 66, which we'll look at. Notice in English Ordinal 174 is a reshuffling of 147. See my video on the helicopter crash on April 17th. Helicopter equals 666 in Sumerian on 17/4. That story, a big tribute to Trump on his 88th day in office. Beast has that gematria of 88. But hold on. Number of the beast. Here is wisdom. How long does the beast rule for in Revelation? 42 months. Also 66 and 147. You think it's a coincidence? I certainly hope not. I'll explain to you what's happened. I've seen it all along, but I didn't understand it as clearly as when I really went back and started writing the book this last time, trying to make it, what it needs to be. The agenda all seemed to take place in the 1600s, up through the early 1700s, to the establishment of this nation on July 4th. Remember, holiday equals 74, Independence Day 74, Masonic 74, Jewish 74, occult 74, free 74, our freedom on 7-4, living by the Kabbalah code, doing things with numbers and letters in tributes to God. What happened, though? The Rosicrucians, Francis Bacon, who some people say is the reason the United States of America exists. He urged Queen Elizabeth to fund the missions, supposedly, that began the colonization process. He thought that this was the new Atlantis, the place to go to take over the world. And I don't think he was wrong, But anyway, Francis Bacon, the Rosicrucians, what they wanted to do was take Christianity and hybridize it with all the old world esoteric knowledge and make it one. And I think that's exactly what they did with the Bibles as we know them. And I think they were working at it actually even before the 1600s. But in that 1600 period, it really all came into place. Modern Freemasonry born in the early 1700s. And this is what we're living out. It's their agenda. And all this history about the Rosicrucians and the Jesuits fighting and clashing and England and the Catholic Church not being connected, I think that's all the false deception put out to confuse people. I think really they've been in lockstep for a long time, working together, putting on a show. But anyway, number of the beast rules for 42 months, big number to the Freemasons, Freemason 42, Zionism 42, history 42, his story? Whose story? It's these Masons' story. The name Henry Kissinger has a lot of interesting things that stand out. 82 like soldier, 80 like tragedy, his legacy is a tragedy. 181 is the 42nd prime number. The beast rules for 42 months. 666, the number of the beast. Just understand, these numbers have been coded on a lot of people throughout history, and a lot of them are truly agents of destruction. So it's not like Henry Kissinger, I was going to say, it's not like he's Satan or the devil, and I don't think that he is, but he might truly be the most evil man alive with this number on him. But he's not the only one, so that's the thing to understand. I see so many Christians come to my channel, I think I figured out this person's the Antichrist, or you guys, it's been going on all throughout history. They keep doing this to us. This is the work of man trying to be like God. So anyway, Henry Kissinger, what also pops out is the 197, the 45th prime, Trump the 45th president. Show you something about last night's headlines with Trump and 45. It happens all the time. Henry Kissinger, his full name is also Henry Alfred Kissinger, which has reduction gematria of 110, just like the word president. Trump fired Comey on his 110th day in office. Again, you got to know this. President gematria 47 and 110. The name Trump gematria 47. Trump fired Comey on his 110th day as being president. Adolf Hitler, 110, born on the 110th day of the year, also 187, released Mein Kampf on July 18th. President, 110. 47. With regards to the 47, there's so much 47 in D.C. White House 47, government 47, authority 47, D.C. equals 47. There's a 47-degree intersection that points at the White House, tribute to the Freemason compass, which is 47 degrees. Trump fired Comey on his 47th week of being 70. It was 47 weeks to the day that he turned 70 that he fired Comey. Henry Alfred Kissinger, 110. This man who's been next to a lot of presidents, going back to even before Nixon. Henry Alfred Kissinger also sums to 115, like Masonic, like killing, number we talk about often in Murder by Numbers. Henry Alfred Kissinger equals 227, our number that's tribute to pi, cycles and circles. 49 is the 227 is the 49th prime number, meaning nothing divides into 227 besides 1 and 227. It's the 49th prime. Washington equals 49. When you divide 22 by 7, you get the number for pi. Just in case you're new and you didn't know this before, 22 divided by 7 equals 314. Pi is 3.14. And if you write out 360, the number of degrees in a circle, which pi goes right along with, 360 is 227. 22 divided by 7, the quickest way to get to the approximation of pi. If you're not following the channel, Zenith of the Alpha, who I have linked through my blog, someone who found my work and has a brilliant mind of his own and has taken this study to another level in a lot of regards, he has an awesome video on 88 circles in time. If you can appreciate this, 88, if you had to make that number with shapes, there's 4 circles. 4 circles put together. There's 360 degrees in a circle. 360 times 4 is 1,440. Every single day there's 1,440 minutes. Time. Think about how in Back to the Future they always time travel at 88 miles per hour. The word time in Jewish gematria is 144, kind of like 1440. How many minutes in a day? The degrees of 4 circles put together. It's interesting, isn't it? But the English language is a tribute to the mathematics of pi in the circle, and that makes all the sense in the world because gematria is supposed to be geometry within the English language, the same class where you learned about pi. Henry Alfred Kissinger also sums to 313. It's slide 313 in the Zapruder film where JFK's head comes apart. Remember, JFK assassination equals 187. It happened in the 187th year of the nation's existence. In Sumerian gematria, JFK assassination equals 1122, just like November 22nd, the day he was shot. In the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. And hello, I don't know why I haven't connected this before on my blog, but sometimes you just got to say things out loud. Ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is what Scottish Rite Freemasonry is called in North America. In other parts of the world, the and's in there, but in the U.S., they drop the and. 187, George Washington, 187, Washington, D.C., 187, home of the Scottish Rite Freemasons of the U.S. See how perfect this is? Donald Trump, a Scottish Rite Freemason. If you throw the and in there, though, 197 is the 45th prime, and you have this big tribute with Trump winning the 58th election. You see? You guys think this is good? Just wait until you read the book. That's what I mean. You guys can see how my research is getting better just from doing the book. And what I love about the way this has worked out for me in the years I've been writing the book, people have been making fun of me because I've been talking about how I'm finishing this book for really like 3 years now, and I am going to finish it. I mean, I have to finish it. It's been too long. But it's so good that it's taken this process because it just gets better every time. And so often I feel that, whatever you want to call God is helping me out in this cause. Because I feel that I'm figuring out a lot of this stuff and connecting dots just in time. Like figuring out all this about Kabbalah and Pike just before this big ritual with Kabbalah and the firing of Comey. And sorry, there was something I meant to tell you earlier. When you write out Kabbalah the way it is for Jewish, it's 38 in English ordinal. Also 52, big number. Just like Jew, Kabbalah and Jew, 38. Judaism is 77. The reason I'm telling you that is because Washington, D.C. is on the 38th parallel, the 77th meridian. The word theater, 77. We know how the Zionists control the world of theater. Ford's Theater was closed in 77, reopened by Obama on the 42nd day of the year in 2009, 32 years later. Closed in 77, the theater in D.C. on the 77th meridian, reopened 32 years later. I call that the America number, and we are a nation ruled over by the theater. Notice the 49 that keeps popping up too. Again, Washington 49, special number. Philadelphia, the original capital, named from Revelation in the Bible. Can go on all day, Truth Seeker. The square root of 121 is 11. When you add 1 through 11 together, it sums to 66. Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible. When you write out 66, it sums to 49 and 149, just like Revelation. This is what's going on. It's biblical. Kabbalah. In Albert Pike's Morals and Dogma, he says, the spiritual texts as we know them in the modern world owe all thanks to Kabbalah too. And I'm telling you, the Bible is Kabbalah code. The Christian part and the Jewish part. As we know it. Last point, the date of this meeting, May 10th, 2017, 52 date numerology, government 52, authority 52, White House 52, president 52, and more. Notice the 137s that popped up there, 3 of them. 137, the 33rd prime, the name Kissinger also has the gematria of 137. I mean, could this guy be named any better? That's how you can appreciate this gematria language. You can look at who Henry Kissinger is, what his legacy is, and then understanding this code, just see how perfectly his name fits. So check out these headlines last night. White hot atrocities. White hot in gematria sums to 45, just like firing. This is what it's about. Trump white hot before firing. Donald Trump, Mr. You're fired. From The Apprentice. And I gotta tell you guys, there's just so many things. The Apprentice sums to 211, which is the 47th prime number, just like President's 47, just like Trump's 47, White House, we just talked about this, government, authority, DC 47. Isn't it unreal? So, what this is about, this article is about how, there's these major parallels with Richard Nixon impeachment and the firing on the 43-year anniversary. The impeachment hearing began for Richard Nixon May 9th, 1974. Check this out, 74, that special number, Masonic 74, George Washington 74. There's 147 windows at the White House. Window 74, not arbitrary. You see? But the name Richard Nixon sums to 74 as well as 137 as well as 187. I mean, 70 as well. Donald Trump's 70 years old right now. He was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days when he became president. How perfect. Look at the name Comey. Comey, 74. Richard Nixon, Comey parallel. Since the first video I put out when I was a lot greener at this knowledge, but still saw enough, I said the numbers you want to learn, 33, 47, 74. Again and again, these numbers show, and we know why. They're the numbers of Freemasonry. The Freemasons have the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation. Foundation 47, their compass set at 47 degrees representing time. Time 47. So real quick, I might have typed that too fast. Richard sums to 43 as well as 47. And it's the 43-year anniversary from the impeachment hearings to Trump firing Comey. And earlier this year, it was all 43 with the wiretap headlines. Wiretap 43, the whole thing was 43. Big tribute to Richard Nixon with the whole bogus news story that was Trump accusing Obama of wiretapping. Trump is just an actor. He might as well be in a sitcom as he sits in the White House, which is what it's always been. Remember when we had the 33rd governor of California who was the actor Ronald Reagan? Hollywood 33, actor 33. By the way, I guess I should just show you guys these things. Actor 33, Hollywood 33, Ronald Reagan, Mr. Hollywood, goes on to be 33rd governor and then president of the United States. Check out that 114 over there. President of the United States. There's so much more. There's always more. So it was Senator Richard Blumenthal, Richard brings it up. Richard Blumenthal, he's blooming ideas here. He's blooming clues. Brings up the impeachment process, the possibility of impeachment. And also, just up here, check out the emphasis on atrocities. Anytime the media emphasizes their practice in gematria, the Kabbalists are out there. They control your media. They control your government. Atrocities, 47. And 119. The name Donald equals 119. Remember, Donald announced as the president on November 9th, the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall equals 45. Atrocities, 47, 119. There's that commercial from 2010. Donald Trump talking to digital sheep about being born for the job. The sheep have numbers on them, 11 and 9. All-Seeing Eye, 119. Star of David, 119. Master Plan, 119. Let's wrap this up now with the UK. Theresa May announces she wants to bring back fox hunting. Oh, does she now? Oh, does she? They said David Cameron didn't have the balls to bring it up. It took a woman. If you haven't seen my work on Brexit, the March 22nd London staged false terror, same way they do it to us in the US, by the numbers, go back and check that out. David Cameron, Theresa May, Brexit, it's all a script. Donald Trump fits right in with it. But look at this. Polls suggest fox hunting remains deeply unpopular, with 84% of the public saying the blood sport should not be made legal again. Given that 84% of the public and 72% of conservative voters want fox hunting to remain illegal, this smacks of a small minority with a cruel hobby wielding an appropriately large influence over the people in charge. You can tell it's written over in the UK because they talk a little bit different than us. They're a little more sophisticated, a little more clever with the language, the smacks. You wouldn't see that over here in the US. But just these numbers that they're putting before you, understand this. They are straight up malarkey, straight from the bull's bottom end. If you add 84 plus 72, you get 156. Okay? If you write out 33, you get 156, our number of Masonic accession. And if you write out England, you get 33. Because it's all Masonry. Those red, white, and blue nations, they are the most 33 of all. But check this out. 84 is what it's all about. Britain, they call their National Independence Day, they celebrate it May 1st, the same day the Bavarian Illuminati was established. British National Day, what they call it, equals 84. Special number. Remember, I better just type these out so you don't have to trust me. Masonry, 84. Zionism, 84. United States of America, 84. And a whole lot more. This shows up all the time. Remember, 84 killed on Bastille Day? What is Bastille Day in France, the Masonic nation? Is it 14/7? It sure is. 14/7. You know, like 147? But on Bastille Day, they said 84 people killed, and it was exactly 84 days after the movie Bastille Day was released in the United Kingdom. Michael Mason, the main character. Masonry 84, Zionism 84. Did I say United States of America? Yeah, I did. I did. Thomas Jefferson 84, wrote the Declaration of Independence. Anyway, aside from the 84s, we also have fox hunting, 132, which is what I call the Princess Diana death number, the Madeleine McCann disappearance number. Fox hunting 132, England 132, United States of America 132, Catholic Church 132. If you read through modern history, supposedly all this beefing between Catholic and England, I think somewhere along the way they must have said, you know what? If we merge together, I think we can take over the whole world. And I think that happened somewhere around the 1700s, 1600s. Maybe earlier. Maybe the 1500s. Anyway, happened somewhere in there, and we're living it out. In 2017, we've been living it out our whole lives. This is a seamless agenda we're exposing from whenever it started, which was somewhere around then. So anyway, 132. Princess Diana, 132. She died 132 days from the Queen's birthday. Princess Diana also 84. These numbers aren't arbitrary. Again, fox hunting, 132. 84% of the people opposed. This is all made up reporting, but I'm sure they know that the common sentiment is people don't want this. Most people don't want to be killers. Most people would eat more vegetables if they had to kill their own animals to eat food. You know? I don't want to get into diet. I got a number of videos on diet, but the more green vegetables you eat, the less meat and dairy you consume, unless it's completely organic and free range, the longer you're going to live. A lot of this processed meat, prepackaged meat, it's made to kill you. Let me show you something real quick about Princess Diana and Madeleine McCann. Princess Diana, 132, England, 132, United States of America, 132. She died August 31st, 132 days after the Queen's 71st birthday. Catholic, 71. Talmud, 71. A number connected to 144, which is connected to time and killing. But 132 days after the Queen's 71st birthday was the death of Princess Diana in the most 113 of fashions. And I almost forgot to mention that royal equals 71. We're talking about the royal family. 132 days after the 71st birthday of the Queen, this huge tragedy. And I have a big video on this, but here's what you should know. The word princess equals 113, just like Teresa. And you know what? I'm going to make this guy's day. There's actually a person who trolls me all the time to discredit me. He says I'm a shill. He posts on all my blog and videos. For anyone who knows his name's Bob Anderson. Hello, Bob. Bob always is commenting, though, that Princess Diana is Theresa May. He says they did surgery to her. It's all part of the big joke. I can't prove that this person is that person. That this is what Bob Anderson does. He claims that this person is that person. Some are just ridiculous. But anyway, could Princess Diana be Theresa May? Is it possible? It's possible. He also says that John F. Kennedy is Jimmy Carter. I don't know that to be true, but it's possible. Both of these people died by the numbers. JFK died in Dallas, 113. 113 is the number for mainstream, dishonest, bullshit, perjury, infidelity. So many things that have to do with not being honest. Not true, not honest. In Bava Kamal 113A, it says it's okay for somebody who's Jewish to lie to somebody who isn't. And really, this world's run on lies, and it really does seem that whoever created the language went to the greatest extent possible to code the significance of lying. And I have an old video explaining how the word God is a three-letter word, 26. So is the word lie. And in Hebrew, the word for God represents 26. Notice lie is 26 and 55 like God, also like Satan. And the people who are running the world, absolutely greedy and doing it with lies and by the numbers with lies all the time. Here we're looking at the death of Princess Diana, who died in this tunnel. I think supposedly she hit the 13th pillar. But look at the name of the tunnel. 113. Princess 113. A death by the numbers. Of course, Scottish 113, like Scottish Rite Freemasonry. She died in 97. Death equals 97. The only survivor of the bodyguard. It's happened in France, of course, the Masonic nation. It's just, our whole history is like this. And that's honestly why I don't understand why my research hasn't blown up. Aren't there millions of people online in the world seeking out knowledge? Shouldn't there be? Millions would just be a small percentage. A few million, that's a small percentage of the world that's on the internet. Why haven't millions of people found my work? It's been out here for this long, showing this stuff conclusively. How do people not know yet? How many people have spent all this money and books investigating the death of Princess Diana? I'm just putting it out for free. Where's the millions of people at? I'm not here to be famous. I'm here to get the word out. People need to know the word. Let's talk about Madeleine McCann real quick. Born on May 12th, the 132nd day of the year, who disappeared 9 days before her birthday on May 3rd. Look at this. May 12th, the 132nd day of the year, big story in the UK. People compare it to Princess Diana without having a clue about the numbers or the gematria. She disappeared on May 3rd, which is written 3/5 in the UK like Catholic. To take this to Kennedy real quick. JFK, the only Catholic president, number 35. He was 46 when he was killed. Again, JFK assassination 187. You pull out the Sumerian gematria times 6 on the 187, 1122 like the day he died in the 187th year of the nation's existence. You see? In Dallas, 113. Zapruder was a Scottish Rite Freemason, Scottish, 113. Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, Scottish, 113. See what's going on here? Maybe these people really are being killed. Maybe Princess Diana was murdered that day in the tunnel. Maybe JFK was really killed. I don't want people to fight over this. I just want people to see that there's a real conspiracy, who's doing it, and how they continue to do it. Up to today with Henry Kissinger in the headlines. So Madeleine McCann disappeared on May 3rd, our Catholic day. The word religion's 53. We write May 3rd, 5/3 in the U.S. Catholic Church, big religious influence. Catholic Church has the gematria of 132, again, like England, like United States of America. We covered this. She disappeared on the 123rd day of the year, a reshuffling of those numbers. The word conspiracy, 123. The name Madeleine, the way it's spelled, equals 119, like Vatican. Also like Francis, the current Pope. Francis, 119. Vatican, 119. Hopefully you saw the 47 as well. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope. We talked about 84. Pope Francis born on a date with 84 numerology. Donald Trump and Pope Francis, their birthdays are 187 days apart. The official name of the Jesuits is the Society of Jesus, 187. Also the 56, like Comey's firing. Washington, D.C., where the Catholic colony used to be. That's why it sits between Virginia and Maryland. Virgin Mary. That name McCann, also 33. Catholic Church, C, the third letter, CC, 33. Paid for Christopher Columbus to sail the Americas. This ridiculous story. Americas, 33, 147. 50 states, 147. Is it July 4th? No, it's 4th of July, 147. Don't you love it? And again, holiday 74, Independence Day 74. You see? English 74, Gematria 74. Jewish 74, Gematria, Jewish practice, Freemasonry based in Jewish history. This is occult knowledge. Over in the UK, it's London 74, and a whole lot more. But again, think about France, 14/7 Bastille Day, you know? It's all the big conspiracy you're not to know about. By the way, James Comey, the day he was dumped, was a date with 51 numerology, and federal has gematria 51. Like Donald Trump also sums to 138. Did you see that? Donald Trump 138, federal 38. The day of the Brexit vote, Donald Trump was in the UK 138 days before the US election. But think about federal 51 and conspiracy 51. In the US, we have Area 51 where the aliens supposedly are. Again, we could go on all day, Truth Seeker, but I already know I went on long enough. Until next